Okay. Yeah, this video I want to talk about the Celts and this kind of thing. Yeah, the important thing is that the Celts are not one people. They are not one race. They're not like Celts is not similar to like Europeans. Like they are. Yeah, you can say almost they are different people, but they have. I don't know why. That is the hard thing now. Is very the hard thing is that the Roman and the Greeks call them the Greek call them the Celtois, and the Roman of course call them the Celts, and but like the same with like Julius Caesar when he first time he meet the people from Germanic people, what he called them, but they like themselves don't call themselves like Germanic people or them Celts. So that is the biggest problem here, is that the very important to separate that, to really understand that there are many different tribes and many different culture and religion aspect to this group of people. So like it's very important that we don't simplify it, like we don't simplify the Celt as one group. Like they are I don't know the name you can call it, but it's like the different from the people that the Greeks and the Roman called the Celts, from what the Roman called the Germanic people. The difference are that both maybe the Celts are the people who call the Celts from them are more this is very hard to really explain this. The thing is that if you are a trading people, you're trading different things like wine and seed from the seed to make bread, this kind of thing, and wine is very expensive too at that time. And you also you work as a mercenary from different people, like the Carthaginians, and of course the Greeks. In like the important thing is to know is that if the problem here is that at many times people simplify it. Like it's very important. It's big different with the Liberians and their custom and their religion, then their nobility, the artwork, the clothing, the fashion for the nobility is comparable to maybe some like people in Britannia. So them it's very hard because of is why like this why do Roman example call them the Celts, and why do the Roman call like the Liberians for the Celts when they fight after they defeat the Carthaginian and around the Numidian War, and they go to Spain to fight the Liberian Celts? It's a very interesting question there. An interesting thing I think is interesting about that is they need, is it some kind of different thing, but they need to have some kind of reason. Like it's very interesting. Is it some naming for something like a negative thing, like it's similar to like a barbarian? Is that kind of thing what I mean that they are at the Celt is a kind of negative word they use for them, or is something else? I have no idea, really. The only thing is I'm very fascinated that is many connect, like example like with the Native Americans, that they are so big difference with them. Like they are not like they have different culture, different like if you compare like an example like the Aztecs comparable to the Haida, and the Haida comparable to the like Comanche, they are very different. Like the Haida is maybe have more similarity with the Vikings, like the people in the north, like North people, and maybe comparable to the Aztecs. They maybe have more similarity in the custom, how they live with sailing, fishing, this kind of thing, living close to the sea. And that is also interesting thing. And of course the Celts meet different people too, like Greek, Carthaginian, Romans, the Scythians, the Dacians. So, and of course the other side with the Numidian Celt, there was the Numidian people, then there come the Celt, and they mix together and this kind of thing. And of course they meet the Germanic people, in some people, I totally forget the name of the tribe, the Celt, that group of these people there, they call Celt, meet the Germanic people. And it's very interesting when this very interesting thing is, the biggest interesting thing is when the Celtic people, or maybe they don't, like this is an important thing now, what I say now, the Celtic people, where the Roman and Greek describe them, and the Germanic people, when the Roman describe them, are not what they themselves describe them. So this is very important. I totally forget the name of the tribe of the Germanic people to meet the Celts at that time. And of course the people that the Greek and the Roman called the Celts are much more, maybe they are, at that time were much more Greek style in the clothing, because of the expansion with the shaping with wine, and of course the connection with the Etruscan and this kind of thing. And it's a very, very interesting topic to really to look up more detail about, because there's so many things some we don't know. It's so many things that we know. Of course the Celt in Spain, they write and read. The military, of course, we learn from the Phoenicians, but there's a big gap there when we think about people like the Picts and the Britannians, like the Caesar fight against, and Boudica and this kind of thing. Are they different kind of a tribe? Are they different? Do they belong to this kind of thing? It's very, very hard really to really understand for me. I have no idea about many things. So it's very interesting. The thing I maybe forgot to tell in this video in the beginning, I should say is I'm just interested in that question. I'm not any historian. I'm not any historian. I'm just interested in that question. So there are many things I have no ideas about these people, and it's a hard, really, really hard thing. What is different from the Britannians, the Picts, the Liberian, the Hallstatt's cultures? How different? What kind of what is it like? It's more easy to talk about their like the weapons, the warfare, and this kind of thing, and to really talk about their origin, where they come from. Do they come from from Asia, from some place in Asia? What is how? This kind of thing is. So. What was the first connection? Like one example, when Celtic people meet Germanic people for the first time, was the warfare? Do they understand each other? And all of this kind of thing is a very interesting question. For we know that they meet, and the Romans. They describe. I think they have. I don't know, but I think they have a better thing to say about the Celtic people and the Germanic people, and they, of course, because of many of the Roman soldiers was Celts. So joined the Roman army was Celt. and of course different. The Roman army was based on many different people, so join a Roman citizen and join the Roman army, but of course they dress as Romans warrior soldier, but they are the nationality was other people, and that is also a big good interesting. It's also an important thing to know that the Roman and about that with about like the people like we like nobilities, like we know like this, we know that the Celtic are like one example with the people, the Celtic and the Picts, like for the or like this, are Picts different from the Celts? Are they the same? That is a big question, because of is many like every of them, all of them have different artwork, architecture, and artifact how they show the deity. For, like the Iberian Celts, comparable to the Hallstatt, of course, is much more earlier. It's very early. The Hallstatt and the Hallstatt culture, you can think like similar to the early Etruscan, and they was connection with them like the Celt and the Etruscan, and later on that tribe of the Celts fight against one of the Etruscan places in Italy. So it's very important also with the time period from the Celts is, of course, they are different from the time period too, because they have different clothing, different armor, and this kind of thing from the time period too. That is also a big factor to it all. And it's a very very interesting topic, and there's lots of things some needs to be explained. Some people don't really know much more about that. Explained so we can learn more about that. So there's many things we know, and there's many things that we not know about them, and why do this kind of thing and all of that kind of thing. We know that they love wine. We know that they are very was I think the first people invented the iron shirt, and then later Roman copied it. First, of course, Roman used like a Greek style of armor, and then they meet the Celts and they changed their shields and more. So there's many things that the people that the Roman was called the Celts from the Romans was a big factor to many questions, and we have even some and also we know about some of their clothing, because in one good example with the working material, working instrument they work with when they build something, we know about from the Hallstatt, because of many things was preserved in the salt mine, and we know that the Celts was very rich because of the salt. They sold, especially in Hallstatt, salt was very expensive at that time, because of they can preserve food, they preserve many things with the salt, and that is a very good example. If you want to know what kind of clothing the nobility have of these people at that time period, is a very good place to go. Is to go to Hallstatt. You can go to see the clothing because of the salt. You can see the shoes they have, the working material they use, like the wheel for working in the fields, and this kind of thing. So it's a very good preserving a old thing that was in that time, like from the 70, I think, yeah, very, very long time in the Celtic period, long before like so there's many things we can find that the people work with, so are not only like a weapon but much more working instrument that at that time, and the clothing, and you can see, and so it's very different, very colorful clothing, like very, very colorful because of the plant they use and this kind of thing. And of course, because they was very, very good with to use plant and of course seed for making, like they're very good to work with seed, like the bread, making bread and of course this kind of thing. And so we know, so there was the seed and this kind of thing. And this was everything I want to talk about, and there's lots of things that I need to learn about these people. It's lots of things, and there's many things left to learn about them, and there's a long way to go. And I just want to do this video to talk about little things about them, and we have to remind ourselves that themselves never call themselves as Celt. The Greeks and the Romans call them Celt, and that is the interesting question. Why do the Romans call them from the Celt? Is there some negative word to it? Is it their reason, like a negative thing to say, or is something else? I have no idea. This is everything I want to say. Thanks.